All right, good afternoon, everybody. Can everybody still hear me and see me okay? Chat to me if you can. Wonderful. So just a few housekeeping things to start off. So to get credit for this, if you have to stay through the whole thing, and then when I end it, you'll be redirected to another website where we can get your name and all of that and get you your Perka points. So just make sure you stay on towards the end, and you'll be redirected when I close this. So today, also, it looks like I have one person on a mobile phone, so you won't be able to see the files section, but the PowerPoint and a vacation trap handout is attached, and we can get that to you. Everybody else should be able to go in and download that information. All right, so we're going to talk about vacation trap today. So, kids are out of school, summer is really hot, and a lot of people are planning vacations. And what do we think about when we think about vacation? Typically, we think, hey, vacation from my meal plan. Well, I'm here today to talk you through kind of some bullet points to help you understand that a vacation does not necessarily mean a free-for-all for your eating habits. So let's talk about it. Feel free to chat to me as I go through this. I'll answer any questions that I see come up, and we'll have a good time. So let's go. So the first thing that I know you guys are all used to us talking to you about is planning. You have got to plan. A lot of times people plan their vacations well out, so you know where you're going, you know kind of the activities that you're going to be doing. So we're just going to take it one step further, and what you need to do is plan ahead before you leave. So just like, I have a 3-year-old, so if I'm going to the beach, I got to take pull-ups and toys and towels and all of her snacks and all of those things. Well, it's no different for yourself. You have to plan ahead. So we have you on these meal plans, and we have you on this structure. Those things do not go out of the window just because you're going on vacation. Again, you want to take yourself out of diet mentality and think about lifestyle change. So in order to do lifestyle change, you got to plan. So you want to plan for your meals. So a lot of people go to the beach. You rent a beach house with the family. Contact your family, and you guys start thinking about, what your meals are going to look like, and who's going to cook, and what that's going to look like. And you try to be in charge of some of that, so that you can at least know that a couple of meals out of the week you're going to be in charge of, and you're going to know what you want to do. You're still going to want to go for that lean protein. You still want to go for that non-starchy vegetable, and you want to try to make that carb the smallest part of your plate. So since I'm in this handy dandy office right here, I will show you. So this, let's see if I can get up here. So this is like your 3-ounce portion of chicken right here. These are going to be your non-starchy vegetables right here. Still sticking to the 1 cup if it's cooked, or 1 to 2 cups if it's raw. And then, of course, you have a little bit of carb. So this is probably more carb than what we want you to have, but if you could have that half a cup, this is kind of what you want your plate to look like. And the other thing that you'll notice is that you're eating colors. So I don't want you to just, have protein and starch. You got to eat your rainbow. So make sure that when you're planning your meals for vacation, that you're planning to have all food groups incorporated, depending on what meal plan you're on. So I'm guessing that most of you guys are, you're on a food-based plan, so you're able to have those things. You're just going to make mindful choices. So really look ahead. If you're going to a restaurant, plan ahead. Look at that menu, see what that looks like, see what you can have that's going to fit into that meal plan. So snacks, same thing. You want to make sure that you're packing things that are portable. I often tell people, just like your car has an emergency kit, you kind of need to have an emergency food kit. So you need to have snacks that are available, that are quick, that are easy. Now, pretty much any lunchbox you can put an ice pack in, so you can have that yogurt. Or if you don't want to deal with that, you can have a protein bar. You can have cheese sticks. You can have nuts. You can have beef jerky, turkey jerky. You can have some edamame and hummus. The things that you love, you need to be able to pack those, because you don't want to get in a situation, especially if you're traveling a far way in a car where you're so hungry and you know you got to always stop at that gas station. Well, if you're hungry and you stop in the gas station, most likely you're not going to make the best choice. Even though now most gas stations, especially like your Sheetz and those kind of places, do have protein bars and they have cheese and crackers and nuts all available. But it's just easier to kind of already have that with you. They're portable, they're with you, they can go with you. If you're going to spend a day out on the beach, take your cooler with you and have that stuff available so that you don't have to think about, oh no, what am I going to do? Because you've already planned ahead. You want to make sure you have that water with you too. Remember, sometimes when we feel hungry, it's not really hunger, it's thirst. So you really want to have water available so that in those times where it seems like you're struggling a little bit, you go ahead and drink your water. You want to think about, if you're staying in a hotel, it's a lot of times people just assume that a hotel has a refrigerator and all hotels do not. So maybe calling and making sure that you have a room that has not only a refrigerator but a microwave, because again, you want to make sure that if you're planning ahead, you have the utensils and the equipment available to help you make those things, feasible. So a mini fridge is great. Now, the caveat to the mini fridge is don't go getting one that already has the key to it. So when you open it, it has all the nice chocolate and sodas and those kind of things. You want to try to get, a refrigerator that you can put your own things into and that are there for you when you're in those times of need. And then again, kind of map out your route. So again, if you're going to the beach, you want to, a lot of times people have places that they know they're going to stop. That's fine. No one expects that on vacation, one, that you're going to lose weight. Most of the time we tell you to try to maintain where you are. And two, that you are going to avoid eating the things that you love to do with your family. No one's telling you that. But what we are telling you is to plan ahead and be mindful about what you're going to do. And that may mean mapping out what's most important to you. Is it the ice cream that's most important to you, or really stopping at that specific donut place? Either way, you need to map that out and be mindful about your choice. And maybe for you, it just means that you don't do both. But it's that one time a year that you get to go on vacation with your family and you really, really want that ice cream. Well, then have it, but be mindful about your choice. Determine what you're going to do and make sure that it's not something that you're doing every day on vacation. Any questions about planning? All right, we're going to keep on going. So one thing that we talk about a lot here is consistency. You've got to be consistent in anything that you do. So just because you're on vacation doesn't mean you get to say, hey, I'll get back to my meal plan when I go back to work on Monday. It doesn't work like that, because you can do a lot of damage in that short amount of time. So the same things that we teach you to do every day are the same things that we want you to do when you're on vacation. Because remember, we're trying to teach you how to do lifestyle change, not just be on a diet. So in order to do that, these are things that need to become habit. Eating every 3 hours is a habit that we want you to have now. So from the time I get up, 30 minutes to an hour of waking, I need to have something. It may not be the shake that you're used to having when you're at home. You're on vacation, maybe you're going to have some eggs or, a little breakfast food. That's fine. Be accountable for it. Put it in a food journal, portion control, and be mindful. But you do need to have that structure in place. So eating first thing in the morning and then spacing out every 3 hours from there. Don't get so busy that you forget to eat, because if you do, you're going to be so ravenous that by the time you get to dinner, you're not going to care what you want. You're just going to eat whatever is there, and most likely you're going to overeat. So make sure you keep that structure in place. You want to plan for desserts and alcohol. Again, it's vacation, so nobody expects that it's going to be exactly like what you do at home, but you need to have a plan in place. It can't just be, I'm going to have a dessert every night, because that's most likely not going to work. But choose the place that you're really looking forward to. Maybe it's a place you go that you only get one time a year when you go on vacation. Or maybe you're going, to a resort or all-inclusive where alcohol is available and something you want to partake in. Again, you want to have that plan in place, because you have goals that you want to meet that this vacation should not interfere with. This is a vacation, but it doesn't mean that it's a stop from your plan. So you have to be able to kind of balance those things and juggle those balls. So again, you can have it, but document it, put it in a food journal, hold yourself accountable for what you're doing. And then if you go to buffets, again, a lot of beach trips have buffets. A lot of places we go have buffets. Try to only make one trip, or some buffets have it where you can order a pre-planned meal and not have to go to the buffet. Because when we go to buffets, portion control typically is out of the window because you're going back so many times. So really look at that buffet, see what it is you really want, and stick to the main principles that we've tried to teach you. Go for the lean protein. Go for the non-starchy vegetables first. And then if you want a little bit of carb, then have that. But portion control and be mindful about what you want to choose. Pay attention to your body. And when you're full, stop eating. Because that overfull feeling is a terrible feeling. Nobody wants to feel that way on vacation. So just be mindful of that. And then when you're ordering entrees and appetizers, try to order half of it. Or if you're with a family, share the love, as we say. You do not have to be responsible for eating everything. I often tell people, as soon as you order your meal, get a to-go box so that you can automatically go ahead and put half of that meal into the to-go box, because we're visual. So if it stays on that plate, no matter how long we sit there, most likely we're going to start nibbling at it again, even though we're full, because it's still on your plate. So if you put it in a to-go box and get it off of your plate and close that to-go box so you don't see it, then you eat half of that entree. So you can have that meal that you've been longing for. It's just you're going to eat it in a smaller portion. So again, you want to look, if you're going to a special restaurant, a lot of times we have people who are going on cruises or Disney trips. Try to do your research beforehand. Use online menus. A lot of chains now have online menus and online nutritional information. And if they don't have the nutritional information, that's okay. Still look at the menu. Hopefully we have done our job at educating you well enough at this point to kind of know what the good things to go towards are and what the not so great things are. And then what you want to do is pre-journal so you can see what your day is going to look like. You want to make sure that, and a lot of times if you pre-journal, you're a lot more likely to stick to whatever it is that you're eating because it's already in that journal for you and holding you accountable. So the night before, think about where you want to go. Space yourself out. Okay, I'm going to get up at 8 o'clock. By 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm going to have my breakfast. It's going to be about 200 calories. And every 3 hours, I'm going to space out from there. A lot of times your snacks probably won't change much from what you've done at home. Hopefully you've planned and brought snacks with you so that you're not eating what we typically consider snacky foods, but you're eating those good quality, nutrient-dense, high-protein foods. So activity is crucial. Vacation does not necessarily mean you can go lounge on the couch, although that sounds really great in a lot of our stressful lives. But activity is really going to help with that too. Think about it. You are spending time with your family. You're away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Be active. Take advantage of the natural beauty of wherever you are. Go for a walk. Make sure that if you're going on an airplane, that whatever you do, you have some athletic shoes with you so that when you're going place to place, that you can have those comfortable shoes with you. Park further away. Take the stairs. Maybe not lugging your luggage up the stairs, but as you go up and down, make sure you're taking the stairs. And maybe plan for an active vacation. Do some hiking, go kayaking, go swimming. Do things that are more activity-based and not just food-based. Because remember, a lot of things with vacation is just spending time, getting away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. And that doesn't necessarily mean always attributing it to eating around a table. It can be spending time with your family by going bowling, by getting up at a certain time and going to walk on the beach, by going to an amusement park and walking around and just spending time with family, not necessarily having it revolve around food. You want to make sure that you're still trying to get those 10,000 steps in. You want to make sure that you're walking and use your fitness apps. So a lot of you have Fitbits. Really use that. Kind of make it a competition with your family. Hey, I'm getting, 7,000 steps today. What are you doing? Kids love competition. So, trying to get that in and pushing you to want to do more. Staying active is crucial on vacation because a lot of times that activity is more than what you would have done before, and it can often help offset whatever off-plan eating you may have done. There are a lot of different apps that you can download on your phone. Fitness Blender is one of them, where they will walk you through and you can see videos of what they're doing. So if you're in a hotel that doesn't have a great gym and you just need something quick and easy, 5-10 minutes that you can do in your room before you go do whatever it is you're going to do, Fitness Blender is a great one. The other one that's not on here but is another good one is 7-minute workout. Literally, they have workouts that are 7 minutes that you can do. All of us have 7 minutes. We all say how busy we are, but you're on vacation. So you're away from the hustle and bustle. So spend that 7 to 15 to 20 minutes just being active and doing something. Take your bands with you if you're working with bands. Go down to the gym and use the gym. You do not have to be in there for an hour. Just 15, 20 minutes. Spend the rest of the time walking or doing something active with your family. But it's really, really important to stay active and to move. All right. So one of the great things that we need to do is communicate. So you're going away. Most likely you're going away with friends and family. You need to take control of yourself and your self-care and communicate what you need. Be assertive. Don't sit back and let your friends and family plan everything, and then you're in a situation where you don't know what to do and feel forced to eat something that you don't want to eat or to do something you don't want to do. Be assertive. Tell them what you want. Hey, I'm in the process of changing my lifestyle. That doesn't mean that, it has to affect you, but I just want to be clear that I'm going to do things a little bit differently on this family vacation, so I just want to express that. 9 times out of 10, your family is going to be very supportive of what you're doing, and hopefully they'll join in into whatever that is. If your whole family isn't on board, there's usually always that one person who's going to want to do it with you, who can kind of be that accountability partner with you. They're going to be the partner that goes on those walks with you or goes down to the gym or, helps you cook that healthy meal. They are going to be the ones that get you through, and they're going to have a plan with you. They're going to be there for you. And the other thing too is, again, a lot of times when you're on vacation, it revolves around food, but it doesn't have to. And if it does, you need to take control. So communicate to your family and friends, hey, when we get down there, let's go grocery shopping. And then everybody can put in what they want, but you also have control of what you're putting in. Because remember, when we talked about plan ahead, I wanted you to go ahead and, identify a few days where you're going to do the cooking so that you have control. Control is really important. And a lot of times when we don't feel like we have control is when we really go down that slippery slope. So communicate your needs. Be an advocate for yourself. Because if you don't advocate for yourself, you can't expect other people to know what you want or understand what you need. And introduce your loved ones to what you're doing. Again, you're not on a diet. You're changing your life. You are doing this to make a change in your life, whether it be to play with your grandkids, whether it be to run a 5K, whether it be just to fit into some good clothes that have been in your closet that you can't get into. It's not about a diet. It's about changing your lifestyle. And in order to do that, 1, you need to communicate to your family and friends that you're doing it. And 2, introduce it to them. Maybe they've never thought about getting up in the morning and going for a walk because no one's ever done it before. We've all slept in because we're so busy and we're on vacation and we want to sleep. But a lot of times you're going to feel better if you start your day early and start that activity. So invite them to do it. Think about, you guys meet with dietitians all the time. We often talk to you about different recipes, different sites. Go to skinnytaste.com before you go and plan out some cool recipes that you can try with your family and friends. Hide some vegetables so those kids can eat them too. And really introduce people that, hey, eating healthy doesn't have to be this bland, terrible thing that everybody dreads. It can be something that's really cool and something that's fun to do. And maybe cooking can be a fun activity that now you guys adopt as part of your family vacation. So gaining that support and communicating to your friends and family what you really need is really important. And you need to do that before you arrive so everyone can be on the same page. Because as we know, if people have different ideas of what's going on, different things are going to happen. So don't sit back. Be assertive. It's your vacation just like it's anybody else's. And so you've got to communicate that, hey, this is what I need. So we talked about kind of that emergency kit. So think about, I use this all the time with my patients. Every dietitian is different. But, just like you have your car kit that has like the the jumper cables and all of that. You got your spare tire in the back. You need some road trip snacks because it is inevitable that you know, especially if you're traveling a long distance, you're going to have to stop. And when you go into those gas stations, they are set up to get you to eat the chips and the M&Ms and the candy, all the things that you normally don't eat, but you're on vacation. So you should try them, right? No. You are going to have your protein shakes and bars, you're going to have your almonds, you're going to have your cut up veggies, whatever it is that you love that you're snacking on before you go on vacation, just pack it with you. I really love the picture that is on here because it gives you kind of those 100 calorie snack bags that you can just put stuff in so that you can grab it out and make sure that you have something, because inevitably you're going to get busy on vacation just like you are in real life, because we are busy people, and you're going to be like, oh crap, I forgot, I'm hungry, it's been my 3 hours. You need to have these in your purse, your backpack, your car, somewhere where you can quickly go grab a quick snack. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Beef jerky, turkey jerky, your tuna packets. If you have a cooler, your Greek yogurt, your deli meat roll-ups, cheese sticks, nuts. You guys have been with us long enough to know kind of like, you know, what works and what doesn't work for you. So make sure you plan ahead and have those snacks available for you so that when that 3 hour hits, usually it's mid-afternoon, mid-morning, mid-afternoon, where you're typically having a snack, you have something with you so that when that car stops, as it will, because you'll need some gas or somebody will have to go to the potty, as my 3-year-old often does when we go on road trips. When you can either sit in the car because you don't need to go in the gas station, or you can go in the gas station already full, knowing that you have your snack with you. If for whatever reason you haven't planned ahead and you don't have a snack, when you go to the convenience store and you're in that gas station and they have all these wide choices, don't go down the candy aisle. Go down the aisle that has, most of them are going to have some protein bars. Pick one that you like and that, you know, is going to give you at least 10 grams of protein, and try to stick in that 100 to 190 calorie range. Or if you're not really feeling a protein bar, a lot of them have like cheese and apple slices or nuts. Be careful with the nuts because they typically come in these longer packs, and if you look at the nutritional information, you know, some of them can be 400 calories for the pack. So maybe it's okay, you have your 100 calorie snack bag in the car and you're going to buy those nuts, but you're going to split it into 2 servings. Beef jerky, turkey jerky are often sold in the gas stations as well that you can buy. I've even seen some hummus. I was traveling this past weekend and I saw hummus in a gas station. So if that's something that you like, that is an option. So if you forget, don't use that as a way to throw up your hands and say, well, I'm just going to go eat the cheddar and sour cream chips now. Don't do that, because they have other options and you have to make a choice. I tell people every day, the thing about weight loss and weight management that makes it so different and so difficult is because every day you have to get up and you have to make a choice, and you have to live by that choice, whether it be a good one or a bad one. But you have to make that choice and no one else can make that for you. So if you choose the chips, you have to own that choice, hold yourself accountable for that choice, and move on. But if you choose the healthier option, be good with that. Don't second guess it. Don't feel like you're depriving yourself. Be okay with the choice you've made and own it. So try to eat before you travel. Stay ahead of hunger. All of those things that we teach you to do in your everyday lives, you still do on vacation. Eat every 3 hours, because I promise you, if you don't, you're going to get hungry. And when you go to that special place for dinner, you're not going to split your meal in half because you're going to be so hungry. So try to stay ahead of hunger. When you pay attention to your body, when you feel like you're hungry, eat. Even if it is before the 3 hours, even if it's 2 hours, eat. Because again, you're going to be much better off to feed your hunger than starve yourself and be ravenous later on. All right, so defensive dining. So this is really talking about kind of eating out, and hopefully you guys have been in our programs long enough where maybe you are eating out and can use some of these strategies. We also are offering, I'm going to give a shameless plug for our Dine with the RD program, and so we're definitely piloting that and hoping to be an offering for us later on, but really to help you guys navigate a eating out menu. So again, you want to plan ahead, look at that menu before you go, because a lot of times what happens, as we all know, you're sitting there with the family, everybody, you order last, And everybody orders, and you're like, that sounds good. That sounds good. That sounds good. And inevitably, by the time it gets to you, you've completely changed whatever it was you were going to order. So look at the menu, figure out what you're going to eat. Hey, you're at a restaurant, so the reality that your meal is going to stay less than 300 calories is pretty slim to none. You're going to have a heavier meal, and that's okay. No one is saying you can't have that. What we are saying is be mindful about your decision and portion control. So order first, because then you have made your decision and you're not swayed by everybody else's decision. Be careful with that bread bowl, because inevitably bread or chips or something is going to come out. And again, think about the choice you want to make. Is it better for you to go ahead and eat some bread, eat your meal, and then try to figure out whether or not you want dessert? Or would you rather make the choice of just eating your dessert or eating your meal and not being too full? Or do you not want bread, but you really want that dessert? All of those are choices, and all of those are fine choices, but choices you have to make and choices you have to own. And my biggest thing as a dietitian is whatever choice you make, hold yourself accountable for it by putting it into a food journal so that you can see how that choice affects you and the rest of your day. So ask for a salad or other vegetables in place of starchy foods. So, now most restaurants are fine letting you do substitutions. Think about trying to do that. Again, if you're somewhere and you're really hungry, think about having some raw vegetables. A lot of times you can get some like raw broccoli or other raw celery or carrot sticks just to kind of crunch and munch on while you're waiting for your food. Make sure that if you are ordering something, like when you're looking at a menu, if it has like a creamy sauce, if it's fried, if it has a whole bunch of cheese on it, like there are trigger words that you have to be careful of. So you want to scrape off whatever sauces that it has, or ask for a sauce on the side so that you can control how much you're putting in. I know a lot of people know the dip your fork. So that can work with sauces just like it does with dressing. A lot of times, if you want to try a sauce, dip your fork, because what'll happen is if they put the sauce on it, they're going to drown your food in sauce. But if you have the sauce on the side, you can control how much you put on it. You can still get the good taste without that many calories. So just use it lightly, use dressing lightly, and be careful with the bread. Again, the bread is a choice you make. Maybe you really are a bread person and you really want that bread. And if it's not a trigger food for you, okay, eat it and own it. Be good with it. But if it's not, and if you really want that dessert at the end because you're going to split it with your accountability partner, then be careful with the bread, because those are extra calories. They're going to make you full. And if you eat that on top of your meal, on top of your dessert, you're going to be really full and not be able to enjoy the experience that you're there anyway. Remember, it's vacation. It's time with family and friends. It's time away from your everyday life. So you want to be able to enjoy it and not make food the main purpose. You're eating because you have to, but really you're there to be around your family and friends and enjoy them. So choose grilled, baked, or poached without creamy sauces. Broiled is fine. Just be careful of, a lot of times, especially with seafood, they're putting like garlic butter, lemon butter, those kind of things. You want to be careful with that. If you look at a menu and a vegetable is 90 or 100 calories, most likely they have added some kind of butter. That's okay. Just ask when you're ordering it to make sure that it is plain. Most places don't have a problem doing that. You want to be able to, again, take control of your food, and so try to make those modifications. If you're at any kind of restaurant who cares about their business and cares about their customer service, they're going to be willing to make those substitutions for you. So monitor. I have talked a lot throughout this about accountability. You want to make sure you're holding yourself accountable for whatever choices you're making. So again, just like we harp on food journal here, and I know it's the one thing everybody hates, and when they come see me, they hate telling me they don't have a food journal. But I always tell them it is the one behavior that has been researched to help with weight loss and weight maintenance, which is why you guys are here with us. So continue to do it, even if it's not every day. Log 3 to 4 days. Make sure one of those days is a weekend day, because weekends tend to be a little bit different than Monday through Friday, but log so you can see what you're doing and see kind of what works and what doesn't work. It doesn't have to be every day, but you need to have a snapshot of what you've done. Because again, what happens is when people get out of the habit and they're on vacation for a week or 2 weeks and then they come back, it's really hard to get back on track, even harder than probably when you first started, because you were doing something, then you've completely stopped and you've kind of opened Pandora's box because you've gotten off plan and you're doing things that you're not used to, and your body's like, oh, I'm back at this place. And then you try to reboot it back to what your meal plan that we've prescribed. That's a really hard transition, and a lot of times it's a lot harder than people realize. So just continue to log your intake, continue to pre-journal. Make sure you're looking ahead and make sure that you are journaling out what a day might look like for you. Again, it's not something you have to do every day, but it may help you to do it every couple of days, just so you can see kind of what a day looks like. Look at your Fitbit, track your steps. Like I said, kids are competitive. If you have a Fitbit or your husband has a Fitbit or, your kids have Fitbits, make it a game so that exercise doesn't have to be boring. Meal planning doesn't have to be boring. Again, you're on vacation, you're spending time together, so have fun together. But make sure you're tracking those steps and trying to get up to that 10,000 step mark. Weigh yourself. So this can go either way. What I typically tell people is don't go crazy trying to weigh yourself every week or every day, because it's going to fluctuate, just like your weight fluctuates here. And that's going to frustrate you. And I don't want you to see your weight one day and then the next day it's 3 pounds heavier and you're like, screw this, I was trying to do better and I'm 3 pounds heavier. So what I would say is weigh yourself before you leave for vacation. Maybe weigh yourself once while you're there, and then weigh yourself when you get back. The reason I say that is so, again, it keeps you accountable. It helps you monitor what you're doing. Usually weight is a really good one that keeps people on track. So if you see that, okay, I weighed myself and I was 180 when I left home, and midway through my vacation I'm 185, maybe I need to tone it down a little bit. Let me go back to that journal and see a couple of days what I've done and where I can make some changes. Absolutely does not mean that you have to completely restrict yourself. That is not what we want you to do, but we do want you to be mindful of the choices you're making, and the only way that you can do that is if you know what you're doing. Out of sight, out of mind. And so if you don't know what you're doing, it's a lot harder to make different choices. The one thing nutritionally is knowing your food triggers. So know what food you cannot put down, whether it's pizza, cake, brownie, ice cream, donuts, whatever it may be, bread. If you know that that's a trigger food for you and you are not going to be able to limit yourself, alcohol is another one, then that may be something that you need to avoid. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're trying to make a choice and you're setting yourself up for failure. If you already know that sheet cake is something that you cannot stop eating, then don't put yourself in a situation. Don't even eat it. Don't even take a bite of it, because once you get that bite, it's like opening Pandora's box, and you're going to keep going. So if you know your trigger foods, unfortunately, there are just some foods that we just can't have because we know we can't stop. If you know that about yourself, just don't put yourself in that situation. If other people are eating that food, maybe that's a good opportunity for you to go walk or go to the gym or do other things. But don't put yourself in a situation where you're setting yourself up for failure. You need to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success, and success does not mean coming back to clinic losing 5 pounds. Success means maybe you maintained your weight. Success means that maybe you gained a pound or 2, but you know that if it had been last year this time when you went on vacation, you would have gained 10 pounds. That is a success, because lifestyle change is not all about weight loss. It's about changing habits, and as long as you're in the process of changing those habits, that's a success. So the last 2 slides, or 3 slides it may be, are kind of this planning checklist that I wanted you guys to have and be thinking about as you go on vacation. Kind of things that you can, think about and see yes, no, or not available, and maybe you write down some notes. All of these things are kind of things we've already been through, but making sure that maybe it's a trigger for you to make sure that you have these things available. So having a cooler, making sure you have ice packs, just like you have a checklist of things that you're going to pack. Again, I always use my daughter as a reference, but we have this whiteboard and we put everything we have to pack, because as you know, if you have children, there's 20,000 things you have to have when you go on vacation. It's almost like, why even go, because you feel like you have to move your house. But anyway, it's the same thing with your meal plan. So have that checklist, and before you leave, whether it's on a whiteboard or on your refrigerator or anywhere else, check yes or no. And if it's a no, maybe it's something that you want to think about having. So a cooler with ice packs, being able to go to the grocery store. Are you going to be somewhere where grocery stores are easily available? If not, then maybe you need to think about another plan. Research those restaurants and be aware of what you're going to eat in the menus. Review the menu and utilize that food journal. I feel like we preach that all the time, and I know we do, and it's the one thing that people hate, but you've got to do that because it is an accountability tool. I can't be there in your heads as you are on this vacation, but that food journal can. And so you have to be able to use that, not as a way to beat yourself up because you had a cupcake, but as a way to say, hey, I made this choice, I'm holding myself accountable for it, and I'm moving on. So hotels, if you're looking at a hotel, again, maybe calling and making sure that there's a refrigerator in the room, what their room service options are, if that's something that you are going to be doing, and know what's served at breakfast. So a lot of hotels have a free breakfast. You want to know what's served. Quite honestly, if they have some eggs, if they have some yogurt, if they have even a toast with cream cheese, are better options than eating like the pancakes with syrup. A lot of times, depending on where you go, they might have an omelet station where you can get omelets. That's always a great choice because you can control what goes in there. Honestly, if you eat a piece of bacon, it's not the end of the world. If you eat a piece of sausage, it's not the end of the world. Just make sure you're pairing it with an egg. Maybe stay away from the pancakes if you do that. Maybe be careful with the oatmeal because oatmeal is not really going to give you a lot of protein. Remember that breakfast is the most important meal a day, and you want to make sure that you start your breakfast off right. Trying to get in a good 15-20 grams of protein is important because remember, you're going to be active on this vacation, so you want to give yourself good fuel to start your day. And then exercise. You want to make sure you know whether or not there's an exercise facility around. So there might not be one in your hotel, but maybe there's somewhere close you can go. If you're a member of a Y, maybe there's a Y there that you can go to while you're there. If you're at the beach, hey, you got the whole ocean to go swimming. Most hotels have pools. That's a great option for exercise. Ask about walking paths or biking paths. Depending on where you're going, you may be able to rent a bike and do that with the family. You may be able to walk and learn new trails with the family. But again, those are good things to know ahead of time so you can put that into your vacation. Make sure you've packed exercise clothing. We're so good to pack, like we look at the weather and we pack our shorts and our t-shirts and our sandals. We don't think anything about packing those exercise clothes. So make sure you have some exercise clothes. You do not have to exercise every day, meaning go to the gym every day, but make sure you have a couple of things in that suitcase where if you want to go walk, if you want to go swim, if you want to go do those things, your wardrobe is not going to be a barrier. And make sure you have that Fitbit with you, whether you have an actual Fitbit or your phone is just with you. A lot of phones now will monitor your steps. Make sure you have that with you so you can be accountable for the steps that you're doing and really understand what you're doing. I think that is the end of my vacation trap presentation. I hope that these tips have been really helpful for you guys. Again, school's out, kids are out, vacation season is upon us, and we really want to make sure that all the hard work that you have done up until your vacation is not completely reversed. Remember, lifestyle change and not diet. I hear so much good food versus bad food. There is no such thing. All foods can fit as long as you're mindful about it, as long as you portion control it, and as long as you hold yourself accountable for the choices you make. Just remember that every day you get up, you make a choice, and you stay to that choice. Do not make a choice that you're going to beat yourself up about later, or when you come back to clinic, you're going to be so defeated when you see that scale, because hopefully you've been monitoring yourself throughout the process so you kind of know what's going on. Any questions or concerns? Kim and Kathy have been talking to me along the way, so I appreciate that. Any questions you guys want me to answer? I don't see anyone type. Oh, someone's typing. Great. Anytime, Stephanie. So I will close the meeting out, and just remember, you guys will be redirected so that we can get your information. And I just hope that you all have a great time on vacation. If you guys need anything, just know that we're here. And it was a pleasure talking to you all this afternoon. Have a great day.